There's a little bit more detail down there. Now, I've been asked a few times about using watercolour white. Now, not everybody likes using watercolour white, I know, but there are different ways you can do this. You can either use white gouache, you can use white acrylic paint, which works quite well, but you got to remember that acrylic paint is permanent, so therefore you can't take it off once it's dried. Another way is by using the lifting off technique. I mentioned this to one of our members on here not long ago. So what I'll do, I'll just show you that kind of method on the painting I'm working on, and just give you some ideas how that would work to kind of create those highlights that you need. Right, so the first thing you need to do is get a clean piece of tissue, alright, something to protect the paper on, so obviously rest your hands on, hi there, and then using a 00 brush. Right, so the first thing you do, wet your brush, okay, wipe it off a couple of times, so it's not soaking wet, but it's still wet. I don't want it dripping all over the paper. Zoom into your photograph if you've got one in front of you. And then what I'll do, I'll just pull off some little bit of paint here, just so you can see what I mean. Keep going over the same line time and time again. So all you need to do, keep going over it, keep going, and lift. And then you've got this little highlighted area there. If it's too white, we can just tint it back in with a little bit of colour below and just soften it back down again. So that's one line done already. Now, as I said, I did a bird the other day, and I think I must have done hundreds of lines doing this technique, but it works quite well. It's very effective, as well as kind of give you a nice kind of feeling of layering. So there's another one in there, look, as well. And if I work on, let's have a look, around the dark areas are the easier ones to see. So where it's darker, you find it stand out better. So a little one there, not too much. And the good thing about doing it this way as well is that afterwards you can always tint it back down again, so you can get a little bit of colour. In this case with this otter, probably get a little bit of raw sienna or something like that, or yellow ochre, anything like that, just to soften that down that little bit more. Just to kind of add a bit of colour into there if need be, but let it dry first before you do so. Going over the same area time and time again. That's all I'm doing that. And then lifting with some tissue. You can see on my tissue now, the paint I've already taken off, just to give you some idea how much it's actually lifting off. But you do need to make sure you keep going over the same line all the time though, so I do it at my normal speed now. So barely touching the paper, okay, so don't go too heavy with the brush, just the tip of the brush, the very tip. And I do another one here, just to demonstrate what I mean. There you go, you can barely see it, I know. And then, as I mentioned about the nose, I can pull a little bit of paint off around here as well. Keep going over the same line again, over and over again, and then lift the paint. And you can see one little mark I've just made there. So that is how you will pull the paint off, just by using your little detail brush. If it's too white, we can always, once it's dry, always remember to let it dry, we can then touch it back in with a bit more detail around the edge, just to make it a little bit narrower. Okay, so that'll give you some ideas how to use a lifting off technique to get some highlights onto whatever you're painting without the need to use watercolour white. Okay, so if you find watercolour white a little bit on the scary side, don't worry, you can do it this way around for most of the painting, and just use just a little touch, just a little bit of watercolour white just to add in here and there. So I hope that's given you some information there, and I better crack on with this and get this one completed. See you all again soon. Bye bye for now. Oh, and don't forget, comments below please. Thank you. Bye.